More story time today. Today we is going to read chapter 9s and 10s because chapter 9 and 10 are short as well. So we're going to be doing a 2-for-1 today again. So, without further ado, chapter 9, wealth is what you don't see. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Woo! Or flex with fake shit. That way you save money and it looks like you have rich and you are rich. So yeah, you don't have to buy real stuff. Just buy the fake shit. Money has many ironies. Here's an important one. Wealth is what you don't see. My time as a valet was in the mid-2000s in Los Angeles, when material appearances took precedence over everything but oxygen. If you see a Ferrari driving around, you might intuitively assume that the owner of the car is rich, even if you're not paying attention to them. But as I got to know some of these people, I realized that wasn't the case. That wasn't always the case. Many were mediocre successes who spent a huge amount of their paychecks on a car. I remember a fellow we'll call Roger. He was about my age. I had no idea what Roger did, but he drove a Porsche, which was enough for people to draw assumptions. Then one day Roger arrived in an old Honda. Same the next week and the next. "What happened to your Porsche?" I asked. "It was repossessed." After defaulting on his car loan, he said, there was not a morsel of shame. He responded like he was telling the next play in the game. Every assumption you might have had of him was wrong. Los Angeles is full of Rogers. Someone driving a $100,000 car might be wealthy, but the only data point you have is about their wealth is that they have $100,000 less than they did before buying the car, or $100,000 more in debt. That's all you know about them. We tend to judge wealth by what we see, because that's the information we have in front of us. We can't see people's bank accounts or brokerage statements, so we rely on outward appearances to gauge financial success. Cars, homes, Instagram photos. Modern capitalism makes helping people fake it until they make it a cherished industry. But the truth is, the wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the watches not worn, the clothes forgone, and the first class upgrade declined. Wealth is financial assets that haven't yet been converted into the stuff you see. That's not how we think about wealth, because you can't contextualize what you can't see. Singer Rihanna nearly went bankrupt after overspending and sued her financial advisor. The advisor responded, "Was it really necessary to tell her that if you spend money on things, you will end up with things and not the money?" You can laugh, and please do. But the answer is yes, people do need to be told that. When most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they might actually mean is, "I'd like to spend $1 million." And that is literally the opposite of being a millionaire. Investor Bill Mann once wrote, "There is no faster way to feel rich than to spend a lot of money on really nice things. But the way to be rich is to spend money you have and not spend money you don't have. It's really that simple." It is excellent advice, but it may not go far enough. The only way to be wealthy is to not spend the money you do not have. It's not just the only way to accumulate wealth. It's the very definition of wealth. We should be careful to define the difference between wealthy and rich. It is more than semantics. Not knowing the difference is a source of countless poor money decisions. Rich is a current income. Someone driving a $100,000 car is almost certainly rich, because even if they purchase the car with debt, you need a certain level of income to afford the monthly payment. Same with those who live in big homes. It's not hard to spot rich people. They often go out of their way to make themselves known, but wealth is hidden. It's income not spent. Wealth is an option not yet taken by something later. Its value lies in offering you options, flexibility, and growth to one day purchase more stuff than you could right now. Diet and exercise offer a useful analogy. Losing weight is notoriously hard, even among those putting in the work of vigorous exercise. In his book, The Body, by Bill Bryson, explains why. One study in America found that people overestimate the number of calories they burned in a workout by a factor of 4. They also then consumed on average about twice as many calories as they just burned off. The fact is, you can quickly undo a lot of exercise by eating a lot of food, and most of us do. I'm hungry, bitch. Okay? Exercise is like being rich. You think I did the work and I deserve to treat myself to a big meal. Wealth is turning down that treat meal and actually burning net calories. It's hard. It requires self-control. But it creates a gap between what you could do and what you choose to do that accrues to you over to accrues. I don't know what that word is. Never seen it in my life, but I'm going to learn about it over time. The problem for many of us is that it is easy to find rich role models. It's harder to find wealthy ones because, by definition, their success is more hidden. There are, of course, wealthy people who also spend a lot of money on stuff. But even in those cases, what we see is their richness, not their wealth. We see the cars they chose to buy and perhaps the school they chose to send their kids to. We don't see the savings, retirement accounts, or investment portfolios. We see the homes they bought, not the homes they could have bought, had they stretched themselves thin. The danger here is that I think most people, deep down, want to be wealthy. They want freedom and flexibility, which is what financial assets, not yet spent, can give you. But it is so integrated in us that it is to have money is to spend money that we don't get to see the restraint it takes to actually be wealthy. And since we can't see it, it's hard to learn about it. People are good at learning by imitation. But the hidden nature of wealth makes it hard to imitate others and learn from their ways. After he died, Ronald Read became many people's financial role model. But he was nobody's financial role model while he was living, because every penny of his wealth was hidden, even to those who knew him. Imagine how hard it would be to learn how to write if you couldn't read the works of great authors. Who would be your inspiration? Excuse. Who would you admire? Who nuanced tricks and tips would you follow? It would make something that is already hard even harder. It's difficult to learn from what you can't see, which explains why it's hard for many to build wealth. The world is filled with people who look modest but are actually wealthy, and people who look rich who live at razor's edges of insolvency. Keep this in mind when quickly judging others' success and getting your own goals. And setting your own goals. Getting. The S looked like a G. If wealth is what you don't spend, what good is it? Well, let me see. Let me convince you to save your money. And that's what chapter 10 is. It's called Save Your Money. Save that money. Yeah. Shout out Lil Dicky. Save that money, baby. The only factor you can control generates one of the only things that matter. How wonderful. How wonderful. Let me convince you to save money. It won't take long. But it's an odd task, isn't it? Do people need to be convinced to save money? My observation is that, yes, many do. Past a certain level of income, people fall into 3 groups. Those who save, those who don't think they can save, and those who don't think they need to save. This is for the latter 2. The first idea, simple but easy to overlook, is that building wealth has little to do with your income or investment returns, and a lot to do with your savings rate. A quick story about the power of efficiency. In the 1970s, the world looked like it was running out of oil. The calculation wasn't hard. The global economy used a lot of oil. The global economy was growing, and the amount of oil we could drill couldn't keep up. We didn't run out of oil, thank goodness. But that wasn't just because we found more oil. or even got better at taking it out of the ground. The biggest reason we overcame the oil crisis is because we started building cars, factories, and homes that were more energy efficient than they used to be. The United States uses 60% less energy per dollar of GDP today than it did in the 1950s. The average miles per gallon of all vehicles on the road has doubled since 1975. A 1989 Ford Taurus sedan averaged 18 miles to the gallon. A 2009 Chevy Suburban, which is an absurdly large SUV, averages 18.1 miles to the gallon. The world grew its energy wealth, not by increasing the energy it had, but by decreasing the energy it needed. U.S. oil and gas production has increased 65% since 1975. While conservation and efficiency has more than doubled what we can do with that energy, so it's easy to see which has mattered more. The important thing here is that finding more energy is largely out of our control and shrouded in uncertainty, because it relies on a slippery mix of having the right geology, geography, weather, and geopolitics. But becoming more efficient with the energy we use is largely in our control. The decision to buy a lighter car or ride a bike is up to you and has a 100% chance of improving efficiency. The same is true about our money. Investment returns can make you rich, but whether an investing strategy will work and how long it will work for, and whether markets will cooperate, is always in doubt. Results are shrouded in uncertainty. Shrouded is his favorite word now, twice in one fucking paragraph. Personal savings and frugality, finances. Finances, conservation, and efficiency are parts of the money equation that more in your control than have a 100% chance of being as effective in the future as they are today. If you view building wealth as something that will require more money or big investment returns, you may become as pessimistic as the energy doomers were in the 1970s. The path forward looks hard and out of your control. If you view it as powered by your own frugality and efficiency, the destiny is clearer. Wealth is just the accumulated leftovers after you spend what you take in. And since you can build wealth without a high income, but have no chance of building wealth without a high savings rate, but have no chance of building wealth without a high savings rate, it's clear which one matters more. More importantly, the value of wealth is relative to what you need, so your necessities. Say you and I have the same net worth, and you're a better investor than I am. I can earn 8% annual returns, and you can earn 12% annual returns. But I'm more efficient with my money. Let's say I need half as much money to be happy, while your lifestyle compounds at first as your assets. As fast as your assets. I'm better off than you are. Despite being a worse investor, I'm getting more benefits from my investments, despite lower returns. The same is true for incomes. Learning to be happy with less money creates a gap between what you have and what you want. Similar to the gap you get from growing your paycheck, but easier and more in your control. A high savings rate means have lower expenses than you otherwise could. And having lower expenses means your savings go farther than they would if you spent more. Think about this in the context of how much time and effort goes into achieving 0.1 of annual investment outperformance. Outperformance, yes. I don't know why it was so hard to read that. Millions of hours of research, tens of billions of dollars of efforts from professionals. And it's easy to see what's potential more important and worth chasing. There are professional investors who grind 80 hours a week to add 1/10 of a percentage point to their returns when there are 2 or 3 full percentage points of lifestyle bloat in their finances that could be exploited with less effort. Big investment returns and fat paychecks are amazing when they can be achieved, and some can achieve them. But the fact that there's so much effort put into one side of the finance equation and so little put into other and so little put into the other is an opportunity for most people. Past a certain level of income, what do you need is just what sits below your ego. Everyone needs the basics. Once they're covered, there's another level of comfortable basics. And past that, there's basics that are both comfortable, entertaining, and enlightening. But spending beyond a pretty low level of materialism is mostly a reflection of ego approaching income. A way to spend money to show people that you have or had money. Think of it this way. Think of it like this. And one of the most powerful ways to increase your savings is not to raise your income. It is to raise your humility. When you define savings as the gap between your ego and your income, you realize why many people with decent incomes save so little. It's a daily struggle against instincts to extend your peacock feathers to their outermost limits and keep up with others doing the same. People with enduring personal finance success, not necessarily those with high incomes, tend to have a propensity. I forgot what that means. It has a tendency, I'm guessing, propensity to not give a damn. Tendency to not give a damn what others think about them. So people's ability to save is more in their control than they might think. Savings can be created by spending less. You can spend less if you desire less. And you will desire less if you care less about what others think about you. As I argue often in this book, money relies more on psychology than finance. And you don't need a specific reason to save. You don't. Some people save money for a down payment on a house, or a new car, or for retirement. That's great, of course. But saving doesn't require a goal of purchasing something specific. You can just save for saving's sake. Damn, really? And indeed you should. Everyone should. Only saving for specific goals makes sense in a predictable world. But of course, ours isn't. Saving is a hedge against life's inevitable ability to surprise the hell out of you at the worst possible moment. Another benefit of saving that isn't attached to a spending goal is what we discussed in Chapter 7, Gaining Control Over Your Time. Everyone knows the tangible stuff money buys. The intangible stuff is harder to wrap your head around, so it tends to go unnoticed. But the intangible benefits of money can be far more valuable and capable of increasing your happiness than the tangible things that are obvious targets to your savings. To our savings. Me and you. We share these savings. Probably should drop more of your savings in my savings because mine ain't that high. Savings without a spending goal gives you options and flexibility, the ability to wait and the opportunity to pounce. It gives you time to think. It lets you change course of your own terms. Every bit of savings is like taking a point in the future that would have been owned by someone else and giving it back to yourself. The flexibility and control over your time is an unseen return on wealth. What is the return on cash in the bank that gives you the option of changing careers, or retiring early, or freedom from worry? I'd say it's incalculable. It's incalculable in two ways. It's so large and important that we can't put a price on it. But it's also literally incalculable. We can't measure it like we can measure interest rates. And we can't measure it, and what we can't measure, we tend to overlook. When you don't have control over your time, you're forced to accept whatever bad luck is thrown your way. But if you have flexibility, you have the same to wait for no-brainer opportunities to fall in your lap. This is a hidden return on your savings. Savings in the bank that earn 0% interest might actually generate an extraordinary return if they give you the flexibility to take a job with a lower salary, but more purpose. Or wait for investment opportunities that come when those without flexibility turn desperate. And the hidden return is becoming more important. The world used to be a hyper-local. Just over 100 years ago, 75% of Americans had neither telephones nor regular mail service. According to historian Robert Gordon, that made competition hyper-local. A worker with just average intelligence might be the best in their town. And they got treated like the best because they didn't have to compete with the smarter workers in other towns. That's now changed. The hyper-connected world means the talent pool you compete in has gone from hundreds of thousands spanning your town to millions or billions spanning the globe. This is especially true for jobs that rely on working with your head versus your muscles. Teaching, marketing, analysis, consulting, accounting, programming, journalism, and even medicine increasingly compete in global talent pools. More fields will fall into this category as digitization erases global boundaries as software eats the world, as venture capitalist Mark Anderson puts it. A question you should ask as the range of your competition expands is, how do I stand out? I'm smart is increasingly a bad answer to that question, because there are a lot of smart people in the world. Almost 600 people ace the SATs each year. Another 7,000 within. Fuck the SATs. That's fucking luck, okay? There's no way you can actually sit there and know what you're doing. You just fucking putting A, B, C, motherfucker. I got a 1640. I'm dumb as shit. Okay? Another 7,000 come within a handful of points. In a winner-take-all and globalized world, these kinds of people are increasingly your direct competitors. Intelligence is not a reliable advantage in a world that's become as connected as ours has. But flexibility is. In a world where intelligence is hyper-competitive and many previous technical skills have become automated, competitive advantages tilt towards nuanced and soft skills like communication, empathy, and perhaps most of all, flexibility. If you have flexibility, you can wait for good opportunities, both in your career and for your investments. You'll have a better chance of being able to learn a new skill when it's necessary. You'll feel less urgency to chase competitors who can do things you can't, and have a leeway to find your passion and your niche at your own pace. You can find a new routine, a slower pace, and think about life with a different set of assumptions. The ability to do those things when most others can't is one of the few things that will set you apart in a world where intelligence is no longer a sustainable advantage. Having more control over your time and options is becoming one of the most valuable currencies in the world. That's why more people can and more people should save money. You know what else they should do? Stop trying to be so rational. Let me tell you why. So chapter 11 is saying, don't be rational, be reasonable, motherfucker. And that's what we're going to read next.